What up, cuckolds? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And it's time for yet another edition of Hater Outdoors, motherfuckers. Hater Outdoors. I love the summer. Typically, I really don't, but this summer, I'm really enjoying myself. It's going pretty fast, though, which is kind of good because the hater's back, and the hater wants to get back to working more. It's always a little bit light in the summer, which is good, but it gives the hater more time to do videos. But don't you fret, cucks. The hater's not going to stop doing videos anytime soon. In fact, the hater will never stop making videos. So, that being said, let's talk about something else that never stops. And that is the complete and utter ridiculous frequency of new female wrestlers in NXT. In today's NXT review, motherfuckers. Unlike other reviews, we're not going to really talk about what happened because, quite frankly, nothing happened. We have a completely unimaginative main event feud. We have Trick Williams, who, in my opinion, is failing on Cody Rhodes levels of doing anything with his title reign. His challengers are Javion or Javon, whatever his name is. I don't even know because I don't really watch NXT that much. So when I do, I just think of him as the young kid. The young kid, there's something there. I don't hate him, but his feud is with that guy and Sean Spears, who, as I've said in the past, has won about 3 matches his entire career, and Ethan Page, who is not horrible, but who's never going to amount to much. So I don't really care. Obviously, Trick is going to win. Actually, he might not because he's such a boring champion that any one of these guys, even Sean Spears, might be better. You know what I mean? But we'll see where that goes. They had a little tiff. Nothing to write home about. But as far as the matches go, let's count them. One match. Jada Parker versus Michin. I don't even know how it's pronounced. Is it Michin? Michin? I don't know, and I don't care. Mia Yim is boring. She was boring in Retribution. She was boring in the Indies, and she's boring now. So Jada Parker wins, and I could give a rat's ass. Next up, we have Hank and Tank, who are fun. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say they're a great tag team or anything, but they're fun. You know what I mean? You need a fun tag team. And it's almost as if the bookers knew that the hater thought that they were fun because they put them against arguably, and this is, I think, a serious point, arguably the most boring tag team in the history of wrestling, the New Catch Republic. Just call them the Blackpool Combat Club 2 and get it over with. They're boring, motherfucks. Them, and then there's the other one, the Catch Crew or whatever, right? All of these groups are jobber groups, and nobody cares about them. This is also evidenced by the fact that the New Catch Republic, I believe, was the #1 contenders for the SmackDown titles a few months ago. And now they're back in NXT. People thought that Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate were going to be these world beaters, but they're actually just world jobbers, okay? So this match happens. The New Catch Republic wins what might be the most meaningless match in the history of the world. Then we have Izzy Dame and Brinley Reese. I don't know which one's which. So I don't know which one won, to be honest with you. I believe it was Izzy Dame, but it could have been Brinley Reese. I don't know who they are. I don't care who they are. And I hope they both get released because none of them are going to amount to anything. Not because they're not good, because they're both decent, I guess, but because there's too many women in this company. So right now we've had 3 matches. 2 of them have been women's matches. Then we have another women's match. Oro Mensah versus Miles Bourne. Just kidding. Oro Mensah, I mean, I can't hate the guy. He's a good-looking guy. There's something there, but because he has 0 personality and he's just another Kofi Kingston wannabe, we still have Kofi Kingston. This idea that we're going to replace people that we have with other people is absurd. This guy's never going to get over like that because that's only going to happen one time, motherfucks. But the other guy that he fought, Miles Bourne, is of the No Quarter Catch Crew, which is another Blackpool Combat Club ripoff. I'm tired of these groups of people who take wrestling seriously. Imperium is kind of like that too, right? It's just a bunch of people that take it too seriously, and wrestling is supposed to be fun. Yesterday, I listened to the interview with Chris Van Vliet and Billy Gunn. I highly recommend it. It really shows why Billy Gunn is awesome, and he said many times during the interview, he was like, wrestling's supposed to be fun. It's silly, it's not serious, and it's fake, right? And I was really happy to hear that because all the people that take wrestling seriously, let's be real, Billy Gunn at this age, let alone Billy Gunn when he was in his 30s, he would beat the shit out of all of them. Billy Gunn would beat the shit out of Dean Ambrose. All these jobbers from the No Quarter Catch crew. Obviously, Tyler Bate and the other guy. Obviously, Wheeler Yuta. He would destroy all these guys. Billy Gunn rules, motherfucks. Maybe I'll do a video on Billy Gunn soon. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that Billy Gunn, despite being better than these guys, stronger than these guys, better looking than these guys, in better shape than these guys, he understands that none of that matters because it's about being entertaining. These guys don't have any of the physical gifts that Billy Gunn has, and they're not entertaining either. So it's like, you don't even have the gifts and you don't even try to be fun. You know, Oro Mensah does, but he's limited in his presentation. Next up, we have someone called Carly Bright versus Wendy Chu. Now, I will say this. In this match, I knew who Wendy Chu was, right? Because she has been presented with a gimmick. The gimmick is basically she's like another horror character, right? You may remember Wendy Chu before she was just Wendy Chu. She was the evil spirit from China that would hang out with Xia Li and the other guy, right? So that failed completely, and now she's just another girl. I'm pretty sure that was Wendy Chu who played that evil spirit. That could have gone somewhere because it was creepy, but it wasn't presented in any kind of like overly deep or meaningful way. It was like the boogeyman, right? It was just a creepy character, that's it. But I did enjoy Wendy Chu winning, you know? I do like gimmicks, and even if the gimmick is not up to my liking, I can appreciate that, right? Versus, let's say, like Lola Vice and Tatum Paxley and all these other girls that don't really have gimmicks. They have a presentation, but they don't have a gimmick, right? And that's boring. Speaking of boring, another women's match. What's that, 4 now? Jasmine Nix, they said their names were, and Carmen Petrovich. Don't know which one's which. Don't care which one's which, motherfucks. And that concludes the matches of NXT. Now, there is a theme that's ongoing here, and there is a problem that should be clear. I need to know who these people are. If you have too many people that are the same, even someone like the hater who has a world-class memory isn't going to remember. Now, it's not that I don't remember because I don't want to remember. It's because I don't care, right? I don't give a shit. Like, next week, motherfucks. Next week, this week, they had, what do they have? Jasmine Nix versus Carmen Petrovich. Next week, they can have Jasmine Nix versus Carly Bright. Okay, great. Or they can even have Carmen Petrovich versus Carly Bright. Okay, great. Who cares? Who cares who wins? It means nothing, right? Maybe they're just switching NXT to just a women's division thing because that's all I see is women. And the men that I see are boring. And it's like, where are the future superstars? Right? At any given moment, NXT had some future superstars. I still refuse to believe that Trick Williams is going to be a future superstar. I'm sick and tired of the comparisons between him and Booker T. It's disrespectful to Booker T, who is extremely charismatic and quite frankly better than Trick Williams at everything. You know what I'm saying? He's just a better wrestler. Trick Williams is in good shape. They're probably in the same, I don't know. Booker T was also in really good shape. But the comparisons need to stop because Booker T, his character was like world class, and Trick Williams is just a guy. So I don't particularly give a rat's ass about Trick Williams, and I think it's time to bring up the new people in NXT. They have to have some of them lurking in the back somewhere. Bring them up. Or at this rate, send like half the main roster to NXT permanently. Like, why the hell is Joaquin Wilde with LWO? He doesn't do anything. Just put him in NXT and give him a singles run or something. I don't know what to tell you. Figure it out, cucks. But the problems of NXT cannot be understated. NXT is supposed to represent the future, and NXT is boring. And if I'm being bored to death by the things that I'm seeing on TV, why would I care about these guys when they finally, if they do, make their way to the main roster? Like, best example is Shawn Spears. Like, does anyone believe that Shawn Spears has any possibility of going to the main roster? The answer is obviously not. But if they give him that push, it's going to fail 100%. He's never going to be anything more than a jobber, right? He deserves a push because just the longevity itself merits some sort of like small push. Like, let him get over again or something, right? Because he does have a few good attributes. But he's so boring, and that's the problem with NXT. Everyone's so boring that like I have to look forward to like Wes Lee. That's like the most interesting guy in NXT. In my opinion, it's Lexis King, but you know what I'm saying, right? NXT needs to go, period, right? At this point, I don't think it's unfair to say that NXT does more harm than good. In the past, NXT had a good role, right? The role was there was a competitive scene of wrestlers that weren't ready yet and that they would one day go to the main roster and do good things. Like, for example, Seth Rollins, right? You expected big things from him. There's a lot of people that failed from NXT, but you always expected big things from them. You expected big things from Owens. You expected big things from Nakamura, from Bobby Roode, from Sin Cara, from fucking Hideo Itami. You expected big things from these people. Finn Balor, right? Now, they don't have any of these guys. Now they just have a bunch of jobbers. Like, I can expect big things from Javion or whatever, Javon, whatever his name is, but he's 19. Like, he's not going to be a WWE champion in the next 5 years. We need some people that we can plug into the main roster and have them be competitive, right? Like, there's no way, for example, that, let's say, Trick Williams is going to be competitive from a booking perspective against a Drew McIntyre. Also, it's just not believable. Drew McIntyre would tear this guy apart. But that's fine. Drew McIntyre is one of the bigger guys. But it's not believable. He's booked as a jobber. I don't care if he's the champion. He was the lackey for Carmelo Hayes. And Carmelo Hayes put him over, but now Carmelo Hayes is a jobber on the main roster. So it's like, I'm supposed to believe that the lackey of the jobber is now all of a sudden a star? No, motherfucks. You need better booking decisions. And in my opinion, it's time for NXT to go. I'm not saying go away completely. I don't know, rebrand it as something else and have it not be on TV. Have it be like, you still have your little crowd. Don't be on TV. And then that's going to add to the mystique. So when someone debuts on the main roster, you're like, oh shit, there goes Trick Williams, let's say, right? Who the fuck is he? But if I know that he's a jobber and the lackey of... By the time Trick Williams debuts on the main roster, Carmelo Hayes is going to be a complete jobber. So then what? Like, there you have it. They're probably going to be in a tag team. Like, let's be real. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be put in a tag team and that's it. But whatever, it is what it is. Let's move on and let's get on to our next video, cucks, which probably will be released today as well. Cuckolds!